Hmm. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Chapter 17 today. I hope you're having a wonderful week. I hope you have a pleasant Friday, and I hope you have a relaxing and rejuvenating weekend up ahead. Um, this chapter is quite interesting. It's only 7 verses, and there's discussion on when they were revealed. So some say they were revealed in the early times, which we are covering right now, which were in Mecca, and the others say that they were revealed in later times. But the order that I follow, the Tanzil order, um, says that the first 3 verses were revealed in Mecca, and the last 4 verses were revealed in Medina. And when we read this together in a few minutes, you'll kind of see why that seems to be the case. So, in our common lexicon today, I don't know if it's the American media or it's old British writing or what it is. I don't know what it is. But we put a lot of emphasis on the little things in life. I'm sure you've heard this in countless movies, books, articles, exposés, interviews, talk shows, TV shows. It's the little things in life that matter. It's the little things. It's not the big mansion or the car or the big job. It's the little things in life. When they talk about falling in love, it's not the big gestures and flowers and balloons and trips to the Grand Canyon or whatever is your fantasy. It's the little things. Somebody who makes you tea every morning, or someone who pulls out your chair, or while you're having a conversation as a group, and you feel like you're sinking, your partner puts their arm around you and brings you in closer. These are little things, but they go a long, long way. I had to tell you, they go a long, long way, and it's become so embedded in our lexicon that now we don't even question it. And fair enough. Um, but it's always open to discussion as far as I'm concerned. This chapter translates to the small kindnesses. The small kindnesses. And I relate it to this discussion of Hollywood and common word usage and how we think about things, because this book, the compilation of this book, is over 1,000 years old. This chapter was revealed around 1400 years ago, and yeah, around that time, I'm guessing. Yeah, and here is talking about the small kindnesses, which is the same thing that we talk about today, the little things in life. And what are small kindnesses? What's the smallest kindness you can do? As far as I'm concerned, the smallest kindness you can do is to one's own self. Be kind, but to your own self. There's a quotation, to thine own self be true. Of course, that's a foundational belief, but I think amongst the top 5 truths would be to thine own self be kind, and not judge yourself as harshly as you do, or not pity yourself, and not hate yourself, and not hurt yourself, not expose yourself to pain purposefully just to be hurt, not to learn, but to be hurt. Millions of us do it every single day. And that's the smallest kindness you can extend to someone who needs it. You deserve kindness from yourself. And then it goes beyond that. It goes to the poor, it goes to the weak, it goes to the disabled, it goes to the orphans, and it goes to all the people who need you. What's interesting in the world is to understand that we are never fully satisfied. We're always in need of something more. But what we have someone somewhere needs it. Someone somewhere would kill to have what we have. I'll give you my example. I live in Montreal. I've lived here for almost 2 years. It's a fantastic city. The snow is beautiful. The people are nothing but kind and loving to me. I was at McGill University yesterday, and it's almost like they welcome me with open arms. And I was at HEC Montréal yesterday, and there was a group of 20, 30 entrepreneurs, and they help me feel included and loved and cherished. Everywhere I go, Montreal does not disappoint. But even while being here, I'm thinking of the next step. How will I get that job? How will I become a professor? How will my books be published? How will I give this talk? How will I do this? And that keeps on happening because that is human nature. But I promise you, there's more than one person around the world who would look at my life and say, if I could just have that life, I'd be set. There are billions of people in South Asia and China and the Middle East, if you count that. I would assume it's around 2.5, 3 billion, or even more, this whole region. Middle East, South Asia, China, and if you join Africa, that's more than half the world's population. And they would look at a young, healthy, thank God, relatively well-off, self-sufficient Canadian resident who can speak in a few languages, who has sufficient income to keep him alive and safe and well, and they'd say, I would kill for that. I would do anything for that. But me being here, I start taking it for granted. And that is why it is important to pray and to be grateful and to remind yourself of where you are and where God has already brought you. And I do, one of the ways I do that is by writing a daily diary, which I've been doing for the last 18 years. Since 2004, I've been writing a daily diary nonstop. And I write them and I throw them away because I'm not interested in keeping them. They serve the purpose of the time. They're written in real time. But that's one way that I try to be grateful. But while you're being grateful for what God has given you, the other avenue that you can do. So you're being grateful for the center, for where you are. You're being happy for those who have more than you, but also positively envious, healthy competition, saying, I want what they have. So for example, I want to be prime minister. I really do. So when I look at the prime ministers of the world, I say, one day I want to be there. And I would never knock them down. I would never cut their legs from underneath them. But I wish one day I can have what you have. So I'm looking up positively, grateful for what I have. And then for those who have less than me, kindness. Small acts of kindness expand into seas of love, empathy, and compassion. You know all this. I'm not giving you anything new, but sometimes it's just good to be reminded of it. That's all I'm doing. I'm not giving you anything new. I'm sure everyone in the entire world knows the importance of kindness, of receiving kindness, but also giving kindness. And if you have trouble giving it, I suggest you give it to yourself first. Buy yourself something that you want. Treat yourself. Don't be so harsh on yourself. Start there, and you'll realize that very, very, very quickly, you'll start being kind to others. A simple act as opening a door, just as simple as opening a door, pulling out a chair, giving up your seat on the bus. It starts that small, and it'll grow into something. Video is not visible. How is the video not visible? Really? How about now, Marine Kashif? Can you see it now? I can see myself on video. I don't understand how that works. But anyway, I'm in the middle of it. So So Marine Kashif is saying the video is not visible. If anybody else can see it, please let me know, because I can see myself. So I don't know how that's working, but since I have the book, I am going to continue. Or shall I just quickly check if the video is visible or not? And the best way to do that is on LinkedIn, because the thing that we're talking about today is incredibly important, and I hope to be able to. No, Marine Kashif, I can see the video. Oh, yeah. Look, best way to do that is on LinkedIn. I can see the video, so I don't know why it's not visible for you. Maybe go out, come back in, maybe reload or something. Try doing that, because I can see myself on LinkedIn. So small acts of kindness is what's most important here. So the chapter goes like this: in the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Have you seen him who denies the recompense? That is he who repulses the orphan harshly and urges not on the feeding of the poor. The Mecca section, as far as my research has showed me, stops here. And then later, the section covered in Medina continues like this. So woe unto those performers of prayer, the hypocrites, those who delay their prayer from the stated fixed times, those who do good deeds only to be seen by others, and withhold small acts of kindnesses like salt, sugar, and water. So you see, it's divided into two sections. The second section covers prayer. In the Mecca section, where we are so far in our journey, prayer wasn't in the center. Prayer wasn't being discussed explicitly because the religion was just being constructed. So it wasn't being discussed at the time. That's why they're talking about the same themes that have been discussed earlier. Feed the poor and be kind to the orphans. But what's interesting is the last verse ties it all together and withhold small kindnesses like salt, sugar, and water. So it's tying all that up. That's it. This is the chapter, and I think not couple of months, around a year or so later, when we reach the Medina section and we're discussing it, I'll come back to this chapter and I'll say, look, it's talking about prayer now. But so far, this is the case. Have you seen him who denies the recompense? That is he who repulses the orphan harshly and urges not on the feeding of the poor. So there are two references in this Quran given about verse number 2 and 3. That is he who repulses the orphan harshly. So the reference is narrated by Sahal bin Sa'd. The Prophet said, I and the person who looks after an orphan and provides for him will be in paradise like this. Like this. This is a very common thing you see, at least in Muslim countries. I've lived in Turkey for 7 years. And when I told them that I was born in Pakistan, they would say, oh, Kardish, which means brother. This means we're like this. So this is a common thing that we see in Islam, but maybe upon further research, we might find it in other cultures and religions too. So someone who feeds the orphan and provides for them will be like this with the Prophet. That is why it's important. Why? Because if I'm not mistaken, by the age of 6, the Prophet had become an orphan. I could be wrong. It's either 6 or 8, because his father passed, his mother passed, and his grandfather passed, and then he was raised by his uncle. This is what I remember. But from a young age, he lost both his parents. It is not an easy life to lose your parents at such a young age. It's not easy to lose your parents at any age. I know for a fact that one day I will lose my parents. It is an inevitable reality. And I know for a fact that my life will fundamentally change that day. Fundamentally. Something will change or break inside, and the exterior will change. I know for a fact, I know it's going to happen. But imagine being so young, 6, 8 years old, and not having either parent. So we understand his empathy with orphans, but see, I make the wider point. Orphan is not just somebody who doesn't have a mother and father. An orphan could be understood to be somebody who doesn't have support, who doesn't have love or compassion and empathy. The central message here is to be kind to those who have less than what you have. To be kind to those. If someone doesn't have parents, see, we can't share our parents. I can't go to somebody and say, this is my mother, but now she's also your mother. If my mother chooses to adopt somebody, that's a different story. But I think what God is trying to say here, or what God is saying and what we are trying to understand here, is it's necessary, it's essential, it's beneficial to be kind, empathetic, compassionate, loving to those who have less than what you have. And urges not on the feeding of the poor. In the second verse. The first verse was from Al-Bukhari 86005. The second verse is narrated by Abu Huraira. The Prophet said, the one who looks after a widow or a poor person is like a mujahid, which means a fighter, which is, the root word is jihad, or as we discussed a while ago, to fight, who fights for God's cause, or like him who performs prayers all night and fasts all day. This is also narrated in Al-Bukhari, Sahih Al-Bukhari 75353. So you see what I mean? The theme repeats itself again and again. Look after the poor, look after the orphan, provide for them, give for them. I urge you, I assert, I make the case that you can do this even today. Even today, you can provide for the poor. It doesn't really take much. And if you don't want to give money, give food. There are countless poor people, even in Montreal, but New York, London, and then Pakistan, India, China, there's so many. If you have an extra slice of pizza, try sharing it. Just give it to someone. If they throw it in your face, now that's their fault. But you did an act of kindness. Start small. While walking, it's the winter now, but when it's spring, while walking, pick a flower and give it to someone. Give it to someone. You have $5. You don't have room in your wallet, or you want to spend it on ice cream, fold it and give it to someone. I just wanted to give you $5. No strings attached, just an act of love and kindness. What is interesting is, whether you believe in metaphysics or not, I can make a strong argument that karma and Newton's third law of motion, action reaction, are looking at the same thing. And if you do these small acts of kindness, you will be surprised. You'll be thoroughly surprised how it always comes back to you tenfold, if not 100. It just so happens. And I don't know if it's God. As a Muslim, I believe it's God. But if we're speaking rationally, purely rationally, I don't know if it's God, if it's other people, if it's karmic law, if it's the law of attraction, if it's Newton's third law of motion. I don't know. What I do know is that it happens, and it has happened countless amounts of time for us to know that there's validity to the claim that if you are kind to others, the kindness finds its way back somehow or the other. So if I can give you a message for February, Valentine's Day is coming on Monday. Try giving somebody a flower. Don't have to know them. Don't have to love them. Try giving somebody a flower. Buy somebody chocolate. Buy them an ice cream. Doesn't even have to be a gender that you're attracted to. It's an act of love and kindness, and love and kindness don't have to see shape or form. It's a love of another human being. So you can use that opportunity. But if you don't want to believe in the institutionalized holidays of Hollywood, then go out today. It's Friday. Friday is one of the best days of the week. Go out on Friday and buy somebody a banana. Give someone a banana. Normally, shops sell bananas in packs of 6 or 5. Take one, give it to somebody on the street. They can throw it away, they can eat it, they can give it to someone else. Try doing that, and you'll realize that very soon it starts snowballing, and all the acts of kindness accumulate and they become something bigger. So try to do that. I think that would be my message for today. Next week, Surah Al-Kafirun, a very, very important chapter of the Quran, incredibly important chapter of the Quran. And according to the order that I follow, that is next week. So have a wonderful Friday, have a wonderful weekend, and have a wonderful week ahead. And I shall see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.